Yo, you want to see something cool? No? Well, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Welcome back. In our last episode,
Powered by
gave you a
Riverside
little
FM.
brief history of my battle with COVID and cancer and the faith that brought me through it. One of the main things that kept me going, other than a ventilator, was my faith and my wife. She's sitting down with us. She's going to give us a different perspective. We had, she had her things that she had to deal with, and we had different memories about some of the same stuff. Maybe because I was doped up. That's a good possibility. But we see things differently. We view things differently. We had different experiences, and I want everybody to get what she had going on with her faith, prayers, things that are good, bad, evil. Just her view of what happened and her experiences of what happened. Her name's Rachel. Be polite. She's the best I got. So, all right, babe. Tell me your story. What? Take us back to the moment, when I went to the hospital that night that I went, and what was going through your head. What was, the the first thoughts in your head. Did you think that it was serious? When did you know that it was serious?
I actually want to kick it back a little farther than that. I want to go back to when you had cancer. That scared me. But you assured me when the doctor called and told us, or however we got the results, that it was cancer. I don't know, I guess you could tell by the look on my face, but you assured me in that moment, oh, this is going to be fine. No need to get upset. God's going to take care of this. And you were right. And that ended up being, as far as anybody having cancer goes, I mean, obviously it's no walk in the park, but for us, it was pretty simple, pretty straightforward, surgery and done. But then fast forward to COVID, the night that you went in the ambulance, I still had to sit here with the kids. I was trying my best to not fall to pieces because at that point we didn't know for sure how things were going to play out. It wasn't until, what was it, the next day that you called and said they want to put me on the ventilator. I think it was the next day because you went middle of the night.
I called you.
Yeah, you were actually still able to call and talk to me for the first couple hours into the next day.
I don't recall any of that.
Right. Well, you were exhausted. Just trying to breathe and not give in was taking every bit of energy you had. So you called and you said that you were going to go on the ventilator, and you just kept saying how tired you were. And I was like, well, okay. Because obviously there wasn't anything that I could do about it. Even if I didn't want them to put you on the ventilator, I couldn't be there because they didn't allow visitors. And even if they did, I was here with the kids. So they put you on the ventilator, and I let all of the important people know, all the family that needed to know. And Corey, God, no, don't let them do it.
Explain who Corey is.
Okay, so yeah, Corey's our go-to for any health concerns, any questions, any how should we treat this? What does this sound like? Because he's a family friend, and he's probably one of the, if not the smartest person we personally know. And he's a nurse practitioner, so he was in the thick of it. He was fighting it, chin deep. And when I told him, he was working, so it wasn't until later that he texted me and was like, "No, don't let him do it." And I was like, "Too late, Corey. It's done." And he freaked out. I didn't have that luxury. I wasn't able to freak out because if I freak out, the kids freak out. So I finished my day and I took a shower because for me, taking that moment by myself is a lot of times, kind of like a reset. And I lost my shit in the shower, blubbering, boo-hooing, scared to death. And in that moment of vulnerability and just knowing that there was nothing I could do, I was lost. And I heard, he's going to be fine. Let me take care of it. And I know most people think, oh, that's crazy. You just heard what you want to hear. Sure, that's definitely what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear somebody else say they were going to take care of it. But I picked my head up and I said, okay, everything's going to be fine. And I think that's pretty much the moral of every story, that everything's going to be okay. You just got to let God take care of it. He didn't promise me that it was going to be over and that miraculously Billy was going to be fine the next time I spoke to him. He just said he's going to be fine. Let him take care of it. And that's what I did. And I watched over the next couple weeks as he struggled and fought, literally. They had him sedated on fentanyl and all kinds of other things. And if any of you know him personally, you know what a pain in the ass he is. And he was still giving them hell sedated. They had to make adjustments time and time again with the tubing and things. They had to strap him down because he was coming up swinging. And he did. He did. He came up swinging best he could after having all of that sedation and everything else in his system. They kept giving me goals that they needed him to meet to come off of the ventilator. Well, he's got to be able to breathe on his own for this long or this long or this long. Fortunately, another one of our great friends that happens to work in the healthcare system, Melanie, was there.
She's great.
She's a respiratory therapist, and so she was kind of not really on his team, but she was there. And she checked in on him every chance she got. And they finally got to the point where they were considering extubating him, taking the ventilator out. And she came down to check on him. And I said, Mel, I keep telling them that they're going to have to just do it. He's never going to meet their goals. She said, I told him the same thing. Billy's an outlier. They're just going to have to do it. And it's kind of a sink or swim kind of thing with him. And I told him he'll swim and he'll be fine.
Was you prepared if, you know, emotionally, if I didn't
That wasn't an option.
meet their expectations?
That wasn't an option.
That is a reality.
No,
So why do you think that?
because God told me you were going to be fine.
Okay. So with the spiritual aspect of it, was there anything else that made you think that, hey, you know, God told you, yeah. Did he
Yeah.
tell anybody else? Who-
I know that with a lot of the friends and family that we're keeping in touch, they were constantly, we're praying for you all. We're praying for you all. Billy's tough. He's gonna, yeah. But, and that was reassuring too. And I later learned from some of those folks that me doing the videos that I did and posting to Facebook and the updates and things on Billy, you know, kind of to keep his momentum going with the videos and things that he did. I later learned that a lot of those folks said that, you know, watching me and my faith helped them. That was never my intention. I had never considered that. I was just doing what I thought Billy would want me to do and telling people that he was still trucking, you know. But Rogan was assured that everything was going to be fine at that young age. He, you know, we kind of talked a little bit about it, and he's always been the one of the kids that's had a little bit of a stronger connection with God, you know, at an earlier age. And the girls definitely worried. They didn't show it. They weren't, you know, bless their hearts. They tried to stay strong too. And I think I did kind of maybe miss the mark there with not trying to make sure that I tried to make sure that they were okay, but I don't think that I necessarily got their full honesty on it. But another thing that was a common topic of discussion, especially with Gina, she asked me time and time again, Gina,
Oh, Gina.
um,
Who was who was Gina?
sister-in-law, is Billy's brother's wife. Billy's brother's a preacher, so I would have a little bit more of the spiritual conversations with her, and she would ask me, do you think he's seen God? Do you think he's talked to God? And I don't know. We'll ask him when he wakes up.
Yeah,
Um,
I did.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and
I
you
did.
did. And so I think for those of us that were closest to you, I think we knew whether we knew right out, we knew that there was intention was from God. And she would say things like, this is going to make a great testimony one day. And I think honestly, it is the single most difficult thing I have ever had to do in my life was to watch you be so sick. But at the same time, it has been the most strengthening thing for myself and I think for our marriage because coming through this, it strengthened our faith, which has in turn strengthened our relationship. And in all of that, it's allowed us to break generational curses with our family because we didn't grow up with God as a priority in our home. I mean, I went to church. I grew up in church every Sunday, but it was only on Sunday.
Okay, so let's fast forward to a couple weeks where I'm off the vent, um, and I'm juiced to the gills with fentanyl and all sorts of other drugs. Um, there was a lot of things that I told people about that my mom tell me I should just go ahead and die in the morgue so the kids would be better off. From see, I hesitate to call that Damon's name out because I don't want to give him a window to come back.
Sure.
And I don't want him outside my door. I don't want him tormenting my kids or anything.
Sure.
But the run-ins with him, um, there's other things. The helicopters,
Mhm.
the drug deals in the hospital,
Mhm.
uh, me being smacked across my face
Mhm.
in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
You what was your thought process on it? Did you just think I was crazy or?
So the smack across the face, yeah, a little bit. I just assumed that because I was right there with you. I was asleep. Um,
Yeah.
one of the few
Well,
moments of sleep that we got.
I remember I said, have you ever been smacked across the face and looked? Yeah, it's called reality. And I'm living it right now.
I don't remember saying that, but I remember you being startled awake. Did you just hit me? No, I'm over here. But that particular moment, I still feel like was just your mind trying to function through the drugs.
My face said no.
Well,
And if you remember, I said, I saw the reflection of someone running out of the room.
but
Mom.
I was between you and the door.
But it was on the opposite corner.
I don't know.
I
I don't know that one.
it was,
I don't know. The helicopters, I can't attest to that. I wasn't there that night. That was the one night. Once I was allowed to stay with you overnight. That was the one night that we didn't have an option for somebody to keep the kids. And I had to go home that night. And apparently all hell broke loose. I wasn't there. And
I know you think I was crazy.
no, I was just gonna say the information that I got from the nurses and the staff from that night left a really foul taste in my mouth for healthcare providers.
Like urine.
Well, you mean that urine you threw it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the background on that is one night the nurse came in. She said, "Oh, we have some VIPs." And I'm like, "What are you talking about VIPs?" And the more I listened, it was 3 different guys. They had helicopters that flew in. If this was real, it was real to me. And I'm not sure if it happened or not. If they, if I went in front of God right now and He said, do you think that happened? Absolutely, it happened 100%. Excuse me. And the helicopters were landing. They were taking turns because they had 2 different helicopters. A guy that owned a local car dealership was one of the guys,
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
and because I heard the girl sit there talk about her Kia Sorento in the Arctic Black, or how she loved it, but there was an issue wrong with it. And I told her, I said, "Hey, you're gonna have to be a little bit more sweeter than that if you want him to fix it." And he's over, "As long as you got the extended warranty." And this dude don't know anything about these cars. And the other guy they were calling Awesome Bill. Or no, it was Little Big Bill or Big Bill, and then there was Little Big Bill.
Oh,
Because a nurse, EDS, somebody said that she partied at Little Big Bill.
I don't know.
But anyway, these helicopters were taking turns landing, and these guys were coming in. Like I said, don't know if it was the fentanyl or what, but if God was to say, "Do you really think that happened?" 100%, Lord. Yes, 100%, Lord, it did happen. And they were coming in, and a doctor was coming up and gave one of them a prescription for Dilaudid. And then there was one, I heard him say, "Hey, I saw that wreck. It was pretty bad on TV. We're gonna have to set you up a plan. Just don't run through these in a month." And he said, "We got to make it look legal." So I'm thinking, this is the law enforcement aspect of where I was. uh, This is a drug deal. They're dealing drugs. The more I listened, I started texting them. This was 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, something like that.
It was late.
Yeah.
And the text messages didn't make any sense because he was still not
And
foggy with how his phone operated. And
I still couldn't walk at the time. I couldn't get up and go to the bathroom like I wanted to. And I kept hitting the button because I had to pee. And the urinal, the jug was just out of my reach on the table.
yeah,
And you know, the woman that answered, I was like a call service, or it wasn't. I don't know if it's a tech or whoever. She goes, "Well, I told him 20 minutes ago," and I kept calling. And so finally, one of them came in. She said, "I told you we had VIPs. Here's your urinal." She handed it to me, walked out of the room, and I peed. Well, here I am with this jug full of urine, and I'm trying to set it on the table.
and it was not just
Oh, it
a
was
jug of it was full to the brim because you'd had to wait so
yeah,
long.
and it was disgusting because I was on a whole bunch of drugs and
Yes.
everything. It was that super dark molasses stuff, really thick. And I'm trying to lean out and put it on that table.
But you dropped it.
Well, it hit the side. It fell off at an angle to when it hit. It shot up back into my face.
Yes.
This is how I know it's real.
That aspect of it for sure is real.
So if
Right.
if we agree that aspect of it is real,
Chances are the rest of it, yeah.
did the urine bring me back to reality?
Right.
So it gets in my eyes. I'm covered in my own piss. And I called the nurse again, waited. Then she came in there and I said, "Hey, my urinal fell and it splashed up in my face. It's in my eyes. It's burning my eyes."
Yeah.
What she said was, "We don't have anything on the floor that could rinse it out." I said, "What do you mean? There's nothing in this hospital can
Yeah.
wash my eyes out." She came back 5-10 minutes later with a syringe. She goes, "I found some saline." And when she went to clear my eyes, she just kind of sprayed me on the top
All
of my
across your face.
top of my head, and I guess wanted gravity to wash it out. So for the next 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever,
Mhm.
I'm using a straw
Trying to
and
drip it in your
water and
eyes.
dripping it out of my eyes and just
Yeah.
counting the time to when you got there.
And then when I did get there, your eyeballs were still bloodshot.
Well, they were like matted shut.
Yeah. And they tried to tell me that he had been unruly and had thrown his urinal. at the tech or whoever it was that had come in, or was just maybe not throwing it, but was
Well, no, that's the exact
yeah,
words the text said, that I got mad and threw my urine, which was an absolute lie. I was upset because I was neglected
yeah.
during that time for these VIPs that were coming in, getting a drug deal and
And
taking
it was
showers and stuff.
awfully odd that once I got there and I advocated for you and we expressed how much, trouble it had been just to get, basic care, and that we wanted to speak to the house supervisor and everybody else, they seemed a lot more accommodating after we spoke to them and explained how you'd actually been treated. And they wanted to send you on to rehab. That wasn't necessarily what we wanted to do, but you did need the physical therapy. You absolutely needed it. But they also moved real swift like to get you
Well,
sent home after that.
I think it was that one little nurse that when I told her about the night before, she remember what she said? "What are you, paranoid? Are you retarded?" Or something to that
Yeah.
effect. She was great. She goes, "I tell you what I can do. I can get you into a different room."
Yeah. And we moved rooms and was there for,
2 days.
I think, 2 days. And that's when we're trying to get him sent to rehab, got to find one that takes your insurance. And I said, we want to go home.
And I mean, by this time, I'm already done. We've been in there 19, 20 days.
You were in
And
a total of 21 days. So this was, yeah, right around the 19, 20-day mark. And
and I was done. I wanted to see my kids. They had already sent a team of patient advocates up to try to console me at one time, and bless that fella's heart. I don't know if he was
that was when we'd asked to speak to the house
the
supervisor or
pastor.
whoever I
Yeah.
think they sent a chaplain and 2 admin.
And I remember and there was a nurse involved too. I remember her. I never saw her. She wasn't part of.
No, she was one of the admins. There was just 3 people that
Oh,
came in.
okay. Um, and he was trying to de-escalate and was failing miserably. Well, I
Yeah.
understand. I said, "Do you really?
Have you been on this side of the fence?
Are you able to go home?" "Yes, sir." "Can you kiss your wife, kiss your kids?" "Yeah." "Then how can you possibly understand?" And to his credit, he said, "No, you're right. I don't.
Yeah, he
I
said, "You're
can't."
right. I've not ever been in a situation like what you're in, and I don't understand fully what you're dealing with."
So the nurse after that, the daytime nurse, and like I said, the nighttime.
The
I
daytime
told you,
nurses throughout were
yeah,
great.
that nighttime nurse, that stupid music she'd put on at 4 o'clock every freaking morning. Did I imagine that? Her and that dude singing the parts
How
every
that
morning.
happened the night that I wasn't there.
It happened. It happened every night.
I remember because that room, the little closet room, we were only in it for 2 nights, and I wasn't there for one of them, and that was the floor.
The other night she was off. It was part of the rotation. Then she was
Yeah,
off and she came back.
yeah, but then we moved across the hall to a better room, and then that's when they discharged you, and we got to come home. Thank God.
So they were wanting me to go to old folks home.
No,
Yeah.
no,
What was the one down here where?
Encompass, it's physical therapy.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, mostly older folks that go there,
But
but
where was it at?
it's right behind the hospital on Castle Drive.
I thought I was going to end up going to the one that both of our grandmothers died in.
They were looking at that one if we had to because of insurance, but they were trying to get you in Encompass first. And fortunately, I guess they realized that maybe another facility was not a great place for you.
I know. I was.
They were able to get us home health, and we physical therapy came to the house to work with you, and every one of those folks that we had were absolutely great. They were all patient with you when you would get frustrated, which really wasn't. It was the first couple of days you kind of got frustrated with yourself at not being able to do the things because in your mind you're still Billy Cody, and
I've
I
been
smashed
there.
shit.
Yeah, I couldn't walk or wipe my own butt. So
No,
and
we had to roll through the house in a
it
computer chair.
computer chair. Um.
But we
So
made it work because that's what we do.
during the time in the hospital, when you were able to come and visit,
Mhm.
um, What what kind of when I was telling you what I saw
Mhm.
in my would you call that a coma? It's a coma, is it not?
Medically induced coma.
Okay.
Sure.
When
Yeah.
I was asleep,
Yeah.
I know I told you what I was dreaming,
Mhm.
and I told you about the demon visiting stuff. What did you think? Did you think it's just me being doped up?
Some of it. Some of the stories that you told, like, being in the meat locker with your mom
There's a morgue.
or morgue.
Yeah.
I'm not I called your room that first in the COVID ward where they would only allow me to visit for 2 hours a day, and I had to wear PPE, and I could only come once a day. I called that the meat locker because it was flipping cold. It was like 60 degrees in there. Um, so I would layer up to come see you and freeze to death. So I just assumed that because it was cold, and they always morgues on the movies are always real cold and refrigerated and stuff. So I just kind of figured that was because your mom did come visit you at that point. I would come in the mornings, she would come in the afternoons, and we would kind of take turns.
I don't remember much of the visitation stuff.
Well, no, you were completely sedated. There would be days where, like, the first couple of days, you were very your body was under stress, and it was apparent, like you could see it in the way your body was moving. I could watch your heart rate and your O2 change when you would become aggravated, like when they came in to clean your mouth and stuff. You did not like that. You were completely asleep and your eyes weren't open, you weren't talking, but you could see that your body knew what was going on.
People was sticking stuff in my mouth.
Right. So
Yeah.
when they first
So
did the intubation and they first sedated you, you chewed it almost in two. And they had to go in and put this hard plastic like sleeve over the tube so that you could, but you would still, and you would chew on it. And I would have to tell you, like when they would lighten your sedation, you'd, you'd really start pulling on your restraints and chewing. And I could say, hey, babe, and kind of pet you a little bit. Calm down. This is helping you. And you'd chill out. And your heart rate would chill out. Your respirations would go down, and then you'd get right back to it because you're a pain in the ass.
told you, built stupid,
Yeah.
built stupid,
But
wired stupid.
and that would be on the days that they were trying to see how much you could breathe on your own when they were doing what they called CPAP trials, where they would see how much the machine was assisting you. If you could breathe on your own, great. If not, it would kick in and help you with a breath. Well, those were the days that you would become most agitated because you were done. You were ready to be done with that thing. Even though your lungs weren't ready, you were. And those were they needed you to do those tests and last for 8 hours before they were going to consider taking the ventilator out. And that's when me and Mel were like, just take it out. I'll show you what he can do.
So, what did the doctor tell you about me being a ventilator? The chances of me coming off?
Um, there's a number of a 2% chance floating around out there. I don't remember specifically having that conversation. I'm not saying that I wasn't told that. I'm just saying that's one of the things. There are bits and pieces for myself as well that are kind of foggy because it was a stressful time. So I don't always remember all of the details either.
So, what you're saying is, I was never in a Super 8 motel in Lexington, Kentucky.
Never, not once.
Okay,
Nor were you on a naval base
watching sea turtles.
watching sea turtles.
Just for clarification. But what about? Was there any time that this demon
Hmm.
manifested when you were there?
Sure was.
And what was that like? You couldn't actually see him.
I couldn't see him. You had told me about him reluctantly. I think you thought you had to fight that by yourself because you fought every battle in your life by yourself and you'd forgot that I ain't the one. But you eventually told me, gave me all of the other crazy stories of the car repair place, the body shop or whatever.
It was a motorcycle shop in Colonial Heights that
Yeah.
they had converted into a lung scraping type thing, and Rachel and her mom walked through like a car wash, watching their car get washed, except they were watching them. They had me on my knees, kind of
And I'm
splayed open,
and I'm sure that's
scraping
what
my
you felt
lungs.
like,
Yeah.
is that they were, because they did scrape your lungs. They went in and cleaned some of that goop out of them.
Could this been
That was probably what that was. Well, that was what your brain was, the story your brain was telling you because of the drugs. This is what they're doing to you.
well? And then there was the incident that them feeding that garden hose down my throat,
And I'm sure that's when they were first doing
attaching
the,
attached to
yeah,
a
Rambler.
rambler. Yeah, attached
But
to a
yeah,
rambler.
I mean, you'd told me all those stories, and I just had assumed that all of that was
It's a fentanyl
drug
induced.
induced. Um, and at first, you had told me about him coming through the screens and taunting you, and how you were whip his ass from that hospital bed
Couldn't
until
walk. Couldn't walk.
until he decided he was gonna. I don't know if he thought with me sitting there and you actually being able to see me was gonna scare you more. I, I don't know what his game plan was, but I could tell that there was something different about this situation, because you had literally I'd finally gotten you convinced to take a nap, because I kept telling you to rest, and you kept saying, I just slept for like 3 weeks. I'm good. Like, maybe your body doesn't store that up. That's not how that works.
Well, I wish it did.
But you had literally just closed your eyes and they popped back open. Like in the cartoons when the eyes pop open, and you were looking right through me. And you started immediately crying and gritting your teeth and pointing at something. And I turned around, and of course there was nothing there. And you just kept saying, you come over here and I'm going to kill you. You can't have them. And that's when it dawned on me what you were talking about. And I was trying to talk to you, but you weren't. You weren't in the room either. You weren't in the room either. And never in my life up to that point had I ever considered that I hold the power to rebuke anything in my words. But by the grace of God, that was my first thought, to divert your attention back to me and make you listen to me so that we could pray together and rebuke him.
I'm not scared of much, but those times, those encounters with him, I won't say I was afraid. There was a healthy hesitation to engage. I've never ever looked at anybody and said, "Yeah,
Right.
no, but I felt like it was that I had to stand up, and figuratively, because literally I couldn't.
And you were trying. You were trying to get up out of the bed.
But hey, with you there, it was different. Like, there's one instance I remember. For some reason, I think they had me up elevated. I don't know why, and I don't know what they were doing. But then you walked by, and I didn't realize it was you till you took your mask off. And I remember I was under duress. I was mad. I was something upset.
That was right after they extubated you and they had you sitting up. And I had to leave that night too, because they had just taken you off of the COVID ward to where it was the 2-hour visitations. They just come in. We're moving him while I was there visiting, and I got to go with you to the next room. It was a respiratory room in ICU, I think is what it was. And that's when Mel came and was like, I'm telling you. And it was getting later on in the day that day, and they were like, we're not, they were saying that, maybe we'll extubate today. But then as it got further into the day, they said, no, we're going to just let him rest from the move because he's kind of agitated. And, you know, doctors will make rounds in the morning. And after they've rounded all of the patients, then they'll decide who gets extubated, who gets this, who gets that. So maybe midday tomorrow. Well, I had to go home that night because one, we weren't anticipating the move. I was going to go home anyways because I thought I was just coming for the 2-hour visit. Didn't know I was going to be there for the rest of the afternoon. Had to come home to the kids. And so they extubated you before I could get back to the hospital to see you the next day and take you off of the sedation. Like it had just happened when I got there. And so this was the first time you had really been awake in like almost 2 weeks.
So what was the adjustment when after I woke up physically, mentally for you? Was you relieved
Oh gosh, yes.
or was it added stress because I was nuts?
You were aggravating as all get out, but still, cold drink please was a wonderful thing to hear 800 times.
Drink. Cold drink. I don't.
You just couldn't get enough. But and the thing is that, you know, when they first you couldn't have anything because having the tubes down your throat, they got to watch, make sure nothing's damaged and all of that good stuff. And everything is raw and it hurts. And you had no voice. You had a whisper. And that's all you wanted was something to drink. And at first, we were just doing like the little sponges, little drops of water, and like the relief on your face when you get it, but then the frustration that it wasn't any more than that was hard, you know. But and then true to yourself, they had to put mittens on you because you kept messing with stuff because you were awake now and had to leave that night too. And I told them, keep an eye on that one. He's feisty. And they were like, oh, we know. We're going to put mittens on him because your feeding tube, they had disconnected it from the tube feeds that you'd been on, but it was still hanging out of your nose. And you did not like that. And you kept trying to touch it and bat at it. And that's when they put the mittens on you so you couldn't actually, because you grabbed a hold of it once while I was there. And thank goodness I was a little bit quicker than you. So I called to check on you that night after shift change. How we doing? Feeding tube still bothering him? Oh, you mean the feeding tube he so kindly removed himself? The nurse said. And I said,
That, so
yeah, that. She said, well, it's out now.
I know it.
You reached up and jerked that thing right on out of your nose.
Huh.
And I can't imagine that felt pleasant at all.
Well, I'm glad.
Right.
I'm glad I wasn't awake to experience it.
You were awake. You just were still, you were fresh off the fence at that time. But yeah, you drove me crazy with wanting something to drink. But yes, when I walked in the door, you looked at me and scrunched your eyebrows up like, who's this new person in here? Because I wasn't in scrubs or anything. And I pulled my mask down and I said, it's me. Hey, y'all, it's my wife. My wife's here. Have you met my wife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get to where I come home.
Yeah.
And we're having to wheel me back and forth.
Yeah.
To the crapper because I couldn't walk. I'm stuck in the recliner.
Yeah.
And sleeping in it, living in it 24/7.
Yeah.
We're going through rehab. You know, all he wanted to make sure you get these squats out of this recliner. Brother, believe me, I
Okay.
want to, but things ain't working. Was that difficult for you to have
That
to
was
do that?
physically taxing, but not, no. Once I got you home, that became he's home. Now we just do what we got to do to get back to where we were before COVID. And luckily our time together in the gym that you can't tell either one of us have ever done.
Well, that's COVID.
I knew how you worked. I knew that when it came to to physicality. These were achievable goals. And they were.
What did it for me? I appreciate you, wiping my
I
butt,
understand.
but you just could not get it clean enough. No matter what you did, just
See,
always
that's the
felt like
thing
it was
is
dirt.
like it was clean. I promise you it was clean. There was nothing left.
My standards for that,
Okay,
apparently,
I do apologize. There was nothing left. There was also no chunks of skin. Hide had come off. So I guess it wasn't to your standards.
it's not clean unless it's bleeding.
God.
But I that was
If this episode doesn't hook people in,
that that time was really frustrating for me because I wanted to be able to do for myself.
sure.
I didn't want to have to rely on you to wipe my butt or bathe me or for any,
What person wants to rely on somebody else, but especially what person who has been as alpha, I guess, and you're not an alpha male. You're not. I mean, you are. You're the head of our household, our pack, whatever. But you're not. You're a man. You handle shit.
I'm full of masculinity. I am full of masculinity.
And so I'm sure that was, even though I didn't look at you in any lesser light or anything like that, I'm sure you felt yourself. It was demeaning to yourself, maybe. I can
No,
understand.
it did.
Yeah,
I felt of the lesser person, lesser man.
yeah,
You know, not be able to work,
yeah,
not be able to provide for my family, not be able to protect my family. And I remember in the
yeah,
hospital, that was a big thing for me. Make sure you move my car so they still think
yeah. So
someone's
I'm in and out.
stuff like that.
Well, you were like that with being in the chair with COVID because you weren't going in and out of the house. You were go take my car around the block.
I don't know why I think like that. I'm glad I do. My kids aren't. The kids don't. The
They
kids
don't
hate
understand. They don't
that I think like
understand.
that.
I hope that they never have to understand that though. You know?
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be in a position. Dadgummit, this is what Dad is telling me.
Right.
What did he say I should do? What did he say? We remember things differently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of think that's the way God designed it. He
For us to bounce off of each other. And
and to come to Him
yeah.
in whatever way we can. And if it's the dream catchers hanging from the lung scraping factory. Well, what's strange about that is I was telling you about these places, and I don't know what you're talking. So remember, I started taking you to them.
Yeah.
There was one that we went to. There was that little farm, A-frame farm I told you about, and
Hmm.
there that mom used to date some guy that lived there,
Hmm.
and I knew where it was at.
Hmm. It is odd how insignificant things and places from your younger days were aspects of these experiences.
Well, there was one. I have a friend named Tanya. You know Tanya, T-Dog.
Yeah.
I'm sitting talking to her in a seafood restaurant in West Virginia.
But you and Tanya never knew each other in West Virginia, so
No,
what's the significance to that?
I had no idea.
I know it's strange. I mean, I can pinpoint like like the lung scraping. They did do that, or the
The tube
tube in
down
your
the
throat.
throat.
They
Yeah.
did do that, but the rest of the story, experience, whatever, is there significance to it, or is that just how your brain coped with the experience, like pulling from the files in the back of your brain to make up a story? I don't know.
Maybe the brain's using that to fill in gaps and
Right.
things it didn't understand.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Um, well, I thank you for. Is there anything else you want to add, or okay, they can't see you shake your head?
No, I think we've covered as much as we need to for this one. I mean, we could always do a follow-up if people have questions as they've
Well,
listened to
absolutely.
this. Yeah.
I would like for people. Yeah, I never thought this would be huge or anything, but I never thought that because I had a lot of people say, "Hey, you need to do this," and
Mhm.
then those same people say, "Hey, you need to do this." not really following.
Well,
Or maybe they can't because it's just on Spotify. We had a page on Facebook, but Facebook took it down. Said I was pretending to be somebody else or something.
yeah, apparently there is a business out there that shares our name, and so we're gonna have to make some changes moving forward, but
Yeah, we might have to look at rebranding.
Mhm.
Suggestions would always be great for that too. Um, but share if you have any experiences like that with family members or yourself, or just share a testimony. In the comment section. You can leave it on my Facebook page. You leave it on Rachel's Facebook page.
Sure.
We'll make reference to it and stuff like that. And if you have prayers and stuff, we pray daily. I talk to God every day. It's more of a casual conversation. And, me just driving down the road talking to him. I know He knows what I'm doing and what I'm thinking, but that's where we're at. Again, thanks for listening. Appreciate my lovely wife. Clarifying some stuff. It's still it's still a big muddy mess to me. Uh, Appreciate your time. Have a good night.